This is Reuben Ebrahimoff, and this week's Haftarah is a special one. It's called Hachodesh, or the month. What month? We'll see. It is taken from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45. Ezekiel, the prophet, you have his name Chazak El, God is Almighty, and this man witnessed the destruction of the temple. He was a Kohen, a priest. He had access to the holy temple. And he was part of the exilees of the Babylonian exile when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple. And his prophecies are probably the most intense spiritual prophecies. For example, the beginning of the book is the Ma'aseh HaMerkavah, the vision of God's heavenly chariot, figurative heavenly chariot, lifting itself up and away from the holy temple. Second part I would like to mention is the middle of the book, which is the very famous story of the Valley of the Dry Bones. But remember, those bones came back together and life came from them. And then finally, the third part of the book, where this Haftarah comes from, is when Ezekiel is shown around the third and final Beit HaMikdash, holy temple, in his prophecy. And this Haftarah describes the dedication offerings, the korbanot, the sacrifices that will be brought in the third and final Beit HaMikdash. So it speaks about a Nasi, president, leader, Mashiach. This is what it's talking about. And that all the people will come to the temple to offer up their sacrifices, and that the Mashiach, the Nasi, will be the one offering them up for God, to God. And the Haftarah explains the different sacrifices that are going to be given to people, to God, by the people. And it mentions specifically the holiday of Sukkot. So we know that Pesach is coming up, and that this is the month, which I touched on before, of Nisan, or Hachodesh Harishon, or the first month. Biblically, this month was referred to as the first month. Bnei Yisrael had the Geula, the redemption, in this month. And all of us are trying to leave back all the negative energy that is slowing us down. Anything that we're in conflict about, we're trying to remove, as far as Bechira, our choices go, and we're trying to align internally, and then from our internal alignment, we'll interconnect with other people, and everything will be like this magnetic field of alignment, and very miraculous things can happen to us very quickly when we get internally aligned. So now, the Haftarah continues about the halacha, or the rules that the Nasi has to follow as far as when they enter the Beit HaMikdash and how they leave the Beit HaMikdash. And it also talks about the different holidays that they're going to observe in the time of the Mashiach, whether it be Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh. Today, you have every day Jews, you have every week Jews, you have every year Jews. But every month Jews, the women in the Rosh Chodesh groups are far more focused on it. But the men, I think, I would like to suggest, should begin to celebrate Rosh Chodesh as if it was a simcha and a Yom Tov and a holiday. And then the Haftarah finishes off by explaining about the Mashiach, or the Nasi, or the prince, that if he wants to give to his children inheritance while he's alive, he may do so. Just a detail. I mean, obviously, once he's passed away, they inherit this. So, that's what Parashat Hachodesh is about. And I believe the lesson that all of us can learn is that Pesach is a time of freedom. And that whatever slavery that we feel in ourselves, forget imposed by others, but within ourselves, we should just look at where are we not resonating, and where are we in conflict with ourselves about our lives, our Judaism, our families, our friends, our businesses, all relationships. Where are we in conflict with ourselves? Straighten out the conflict, and that will be aligned with ourselves, and then much easier to align in relationships with other people. There's such a huge construct, and the paradigm of relationships today is adversarial behavior. People fight with God, people fight with their parents, they fight with their siblings, they fight with their children. They fight with their bosses, employees, teachers, you name it. Everybody's in a fight. Everybody's adversarial, some of the time. So why don't we get at peace with ourselves, and why don't we then become more peaceful with others, and that this world can go from being this keg that can blow up to a place where they bring peace to the earth, shalom to the earth. Shabbat shalom. Enjoy the Haftarah.